Welcome, my dear viewer and listener, to this other series of Roots Philosophy. I know I've taken a lot of time to come and post a video, but I just want to appreciate all of you who have commented on my video. You know, I'm trying to construct an African philosophy with an African perspective. Today I want to share something little about the meaning of philosophy and whether we really need to have an African philosophy. Philosophy, most people have been taking the Greek understanding of philosophy as the love of wisdom. But in my perspective, philosophy is the approach through which you can think of ways to solve problems. First, everything must begin with the way we think. And so our development as Africa should be channeled by a thinking thought, a thinking process. We need to have people who think through things so that they can be practical. So any thinking process which is geared towards solving a problem, it is a philosophy. I'll expound that in my book, which is coming. But I also wanted to say something small about the issue of philosophy. In Africa, do we need an African philosophy? I would say no. We don't need an African philosophy. There have been so many people advocating for an African philosophy, thinking like we should also have an African philosophy. Having a philosophy does not mean that we should compete. We cannot have an African philosophy. We can only have African philosopher thinking in a global way to give the world an African perspective. Therefore, I agree with the philosophers like Hontunji, who say we need African philosopher who can give an African perspective which is universal and applicable to every person in the world. When we talk about an African philosophy, that is an ethnocentric philosophy, a philosophy which is only addressing the cultural needs. It's only confined to Africa, and many thinkers ridicule us because we are reducing our philosophical thought to African perspective. Those people who say philosophy is within our culture. Also, other Western people have culture. So we cannot rely on culture. We just need the thinkers who can think in a global way to give an African perspective. And that's where I'm coming from. We are going to grow our philosophy. I'm an Africa philosopher, but going to give a philosophy which is universal and giving an African perspective. For the moment, I think you can contemplate on that. You know, I will always give very short video. You reflect about them as we move forward. And I would love to get any comment. I want to thank you for viewing this video, for listening to me. I remain yours, philosopher Chinobi Paul.